So one of the most common things we see amongst firearm owners is that a lot of folks own at least one of their personal firearms, generally a handgun, for personal protection in the home. So this is a tool they use to keep themselves and their loved ones safe, and in case somebody breaks into their home in the middle of the night. And so if you think about it from that perspective, when we're asking them to store a firearm unloaded and separate from ammo and in a secure location, it's a heavy ask. We're asking them to do something that could very easily be seen as incompatible with what they're viewing as the central purpose of that firearm. So what do you do or not do in those situations to try and elicit some change or some openness to change?
I think you want to kind of explore a bit like what it is for self-protection. So if it is that they're worried someone might break into their house or, I try to harm them. And I think what I would do in those circumstances, if they were thinking like someone might break in and steal things, is kind of ask them, if you were a burglar, like what do you think? Would you want to break in when someone is sleeping at home and there's a higher chance that someone's at home, or would you probably want to do it maybe during the day when there's less of a likelihood of someone being there? And I think one thing that's really important with that is that you don't want to argue with them or make it sound like they're wrong or incorrect in their beliefs, because they might have actually had personal experiences where someone did break in when they were home. So you want to explore that a bit. And I think also consider if they own multiple firearms, do all firearms need to be stored that way? Or is it possible that they'd be willing to maybe store one that's loaded and easily accessible, but maybe the other ones are safe? And another thing that I think is helpful to consider too when it comes to self-protection is using that as a metaphor, because they're obviously saying that they're protecting themselves is very important to them. And so saying, so what would you do in a case where maybe you were suicidal or emotionally distressed? How would you protect yourself in that instance? And seeing if having easy access to a firearm in at least that circumstance is compatible with also keeping themselves safe.
Yeah, I think another thing that's important to keep in mind is that like safe storage is a spectrum, and it's not something that we can easily say like this is safe, this is not. There's a lot of in between. And we don't know what the perfect combination of safety mechanisms is. And I would expect that there probably isn't one because everybody's different and this is something we're trying to figure out. But with that, being willing to kind of work with people on what safety mechanisms might work for them if home protection is really important. So kind of understanding how quickly people can get into different mechanisms like biometric boxes, which open very quickly, and kind of having an understanding of that, or talking to people about like, what about if you practice getting into your gun safe or practiced opening the cable lock, and using metaphors there about how we tie our shoes a lot of times to get quick at it. And so this is something, you could practice opening this cable lock a lot of times to get good at it and feel like you're really quick at it so that you can have the safety you desire with still having access to this if you feel like you need it, because it is such an important part of a lot of people's home protection plans.